David from H. St. Louis, and I'm here again to continue our class from last week about the Jewish Superwoman. I'd like to begin thanking H.com for being an unbelievable venue for learning and for inspiration, for true Jewish inspiration and education. And this is a fantastic way to let lots of people all over who have been really amazing at extending themselves to learn more, to have a platform to do their learning on, and thank you, H.com, for being that. We're talking about the Jewish Superwoman, and we're saying how a Jewish Superwoman is not Gal Gadot, and it's someone who embodies some of the values talked about in the poem The Eshes Chayil, the Woman of Valor. Now, nobody is all of them. This is not meant to create any depression or feelings of low self-esteem in anybody. What we're saying is, as you read through the poem, you can hear lots of different ideas that are strengths that women have naturally. And you and me, we go find ours. We go find ours and we try to be those as best as we could be. So we started this last week, and we learned that the poem Eshes Chayil, the Woman of Valor, is written in order of the alphabet. Every verse starts with a letter of the alphabet because the Woman of Valor, who King Solomon wrote about his mother Bathsheba, is someone who's amazing from A to Z, from Aleph to Tav. She's just so incredible. And so we started going through the verses. We did a few of them already, and we're going to continue today and finish up today in this idea. We're going to begin with the letter Vav, which is the 6th verse of the poem. And if you'd like to look inside, you can look on H.com. There are many different versions of Eshes Chayil on H.com. There's Hebrew, there's transliterated, there's translated. If you have a Siddur, you could look in there. If you have a bencher, it's in there. Just look in the table of contents, and you can follow along with the Eshes Chayil. The letter Vav, the 6th letter, is Vatakam ba'od laila, vatitein teref levesa, v'chok l'naroseha. And she gets up while it is still night to provide food for her household and a fair share for her staff. So we talk about the Woman of Valor as someone who gets up in the middle of the night. And night in Judaism is always an analogy. It's an analogy for times that are dark, for times that are challenging. Like today, in this time of COVID-19, where we are in a dark time. We're in a time where people can't get out, and that's the least of the problems. We're in a time where people have lost loved ones, tragically, to this virus, and it could be scary. It could be overwhelming for many people. So we are going to describe nighttime as being times of darkness, as being times of challenge, times where we don't have clarity. We can't see so well. We don't understand. Why is this happening? Why is the Jewish nation suffering? Why are people suffering? And the Eshes Chayil is someone who's able to keep that inspiration even during the dark times. If she's you are that person that when times are difficult, you are positive. Whether you understand it or not, you keep up a positive attitude. You're somebody who's encouraging to other people. It's going to get better. It's going to be okay. You will understand. The dark times will make sense to you at some point. There's a purpose to all this. And if you noticed in the words, we talk about food. She gets up in the middle of the night to prepare food for her family. So food represents that warmth. Food represents that inspiration. Food represents that goodness that we can feel from a Woman of Valor, from an Eshes Chayil in the dark times. That energy, that illumination. That's what food represents. So she's somebody who, even in difficult times, she stays positive. She stays warm. She stays encouraging. She's the one that people turn to when they feel down with their challenges because she can keep to that. And women, some of you are like this. You have to find yourselves. And maybe I'm speaking about some of you, and maybe some of you want to work toward that. But it's an inherent nature of a woman to be able to do this. Another idea that resonated with me on this verse is totally different, and that's the idea about eating healthy food. It says, she gets up while it is still night to provide food for her household. The food that she's providing for her household has to be nourishing. And her household could just be herself. She doesn't have to be married with a family. She could be single, but her household is herself. women naturally understand better than men, not all men, I'm generalizing, and as I will generalize throughout this class. Women naturally understand eating healthy better than men do. There are more women nutritionists out there than there are men. It's a women's thing to get it. That healthy food is what powers you, gives you the energy to go on, gives you the energy to go through your day, and not in a sluggish way, in a inspired, energized kind of way. How many of you watching this ate a power salad for lunch with a piece of salmon? And even if you didn't eat a power salad for lunch with a piece of salmon, how many of you wanted to? You just were maybe too busy to make that lunch. Okay, that's a thing that women do. We understand naturally that food, healthy food, has tremendous value, and providing it, whether it's just for ourselves or for the members of our household as well, is really important. And honestly, it's not just for physical reasons. Physical nutrition, healthy physical nutrition, is necessary for spiritual growth. In order for people to grow spiritually, to be the best they can be, in a spiritual sense, they have to be healthy physically. So eating healthy is something that helps in many, many ways. And that's the Aisha style. She's someone who does this on her own. Okay, we're going to move on. We're skipping a letter. We're going to the letter Ches, the eighth letter of the alphabet. And the verse says, Chagra ba'oz masneha v'ta'ametz zro oseha. She invests herself with strength and makes her arms powerful. She invests herself with strength is a really cool idea. And the commentaries tell us that the strength of the Aisha Chayil is, one of the strengths, she has many, one of them is that she's not born like this naturally. This made a huge impression on me when I learned it the first time. It means that she's not naturally perfect. When we read these verses, we can think, okay, listen, Hashem, God wired her to be super active, super smart, really good at business, great with her kids, understands them, does the right thing all the time. Well, okay, of course she's perfect. That's the way Hashem made her, but it's not true. She's not perfect. She has lots of personal challenges, but she used inner strength to push herself past them. So, for example, some people are not morning people. And in the morning, they have a hard time being polite, being happy, being cheerful. They're the ones who get to work and, stay away from them until they've had their second cup of coffee, right? So someone who's an Eishes Chayil, who's not a morning person, works on herself to be more of a morning person, to be someone that's more cheerful in the daytime, in the morning time. Maybe she's not high energy by nature. Maybe by nature she really isn't the kind that could go 12 hours a day. But she pushes herself to be that way. She pushes herself to overcome those deficiencies. She trained herself to be like that. So this Eishes Chayil is not necessarily wired to be perfect. What makes her so inspiring and what we could try to relate to in ourselves is to be something that we might not be naturally. To push ourselves in whatever area it is that we do want to improve in and acquire that, achieve that. Just like the Eishes Chayil. And we know in Judaism that pushing yourself is important. Because we say in Judaism, if you're not growing, then you're falling. And so we always have to be inspiring ourselves. We always have to be pushing ourselves. It's our job, men and women, to always make sure to be inspired and to be growing, because there's no such thing as a plateau in Judaism. We don't flatten out. We're either going up or we're going down. And so that's our job as human beings, to always be pushing ourselves and always to be growing. We're going to go on to the next verse, which is the letter Tes, the ninth letter of the alphabet. Ta'ama kitov sachra lo yichbe balayla neira. She senses that her trade is profitable. Her light does not go out at night. We're again talking about light. We're again talking about light versus dark. And before, in the verse, when we talked about darkness, we said that darkness represents the difficult times, the challenging times, the times where we don't have clarity. So light is the times where we do have clarity. Light is when things are clicking. Things in our life are making sense. Where we look back at COVID-19 one day and we say, there was a reason for that. My family grew as a result. It may not have been fun. It may have been very sad. It may have been challenging for many people, but we did gain X, Y, and Z as a result. So light is the clarity that she, the Eishes Chayil, is really good at. She naturally is good at keeping her family inspired. She's naturally good at keeping the light on, of the enthusiasm, of the positivity, of the spirits up for her family. It's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Jewish women have been doing this for millennia. This is what got us out of Egypt. It was the women. The Torah tells us that the women, after we left Egypt, they danced with tambourines. They had musical instruments. If I'm running out of Egypt because I've been a slave for hundreds of years, why would I take instruments with me? I just want to get out of there. Take my money, I'll take my clothes, but I don't care about instruments. But the women did, and the Torah tells us that they brought instruments with them because they said, there is going to be a miracle at the end of this, and we are going to want to sing and dance. So they kept that positive attitude. They kept that enthusiasm and that clarity even when times are dark. And because women do this naturally more than men do, that's one of the reasons why women are the ones who light the Shabbos candles. Light is our thing. We resonate with light. Light resonates with us. We can stay positive in tough times. So we are the ones who bring the light into the home when we start Shabbos. Why does she do this? What gives her the energy? Why would a woman want to stay positive? It's so easy to get pulled down by the negativity. Why does she do this? Why does she stay focused? Why does she bring positivity into her life and into her home? She does it because it's worth it. Ta'ama ki tov sachra, we read. She senses that her trade is profitable, meaning it's worth the investment. If she has a family, she says, if I stay positive, then my family stays positive. And that's worth it. That's going to make a huge difference in their lives. If she doesn't have a family, if you're somebody who lives alone and, you have a job, but when you do it, when you stay positive, you are healthier. You are happier. And you share that with the other people that are in your life, whether it's your coworkers or your friends. It's worth it. She notices, she understands that it's worth it because doing so makes everybody a happier person. We're going to move on to the next verse, which is the letter Huff. It's the 20th letter. I'm skipping down a little. It's the 20th letter in the alphabet. Kappa parsa la'ani v'yadeha sholcha le'evyon. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. So one of the commentaries, and I actually really like this one, says, who's the poor person that she's reaching out to? She reaches out, her hand is open to the poor. You know who the poor person is? It's herself. The Yeshiva Chayil might sound perfect. She's always giving and doing, and she's running a business, and she's taking care of everyone, but she doesn't do it at the expense of her own self. She doesn't neglect herself in the process. How many times do we see people who burn themselves out because they're giving, and they're never taking time to be a human being, right? To take care of their own needs. And they run themselves ragged because they're doing for everybody else. Well, the Jewish Chayil doesn't do that. Okay, that's not the epitome of a perfect Jewish superwoman. A Jewish superwoman is someone who gives and gives, but never at her own depleted expense. Never that she should come out of there feeling, I don't have anything left. And I don't know who I am or what I am because all I do is give. No, she's the poor person that she gives to, meaning she understands that she has needs that have to be filled in order for her to continue what she does. So whether it's exercise, eating well, going for a walk on the beach, reading a good book, whatever it is that works for you, those things that are acts of self-care are super, super important. And never feel guilty for them. Never feel that if you take time to give to yourself, it's a waste, it's selfish. No, it's necessary. We cannot continue giving. We cannot be women who are nurturers and caring if we don't take care of ourselves. So go find that thing that it is. The thing, maybe for you, it's coming to a Torah class like you did tonight. And that takes care of you. I have friends who say going to a Torah class once a week is what makes the week work for them. And now that there are so many Torah class options online, it's so easy. You could do it from your own house. I actually give a class every once in a while on the phone at night, and I call it Mamas in Pajamas. Everyone's just relaxing and listening to a class. So whatever it is that you need for self-care, go do it. Because you are also really, really important. The next letter we're going to look at is the letter Lamed. It's the 30th letter. It's not the 30th letter. Its value is 30. I'm sorry, I was actually misquoting that before. It's the number 30 in the Jewish letters, in the alphabet. Lo sira levesa mishaleg, hikol besa lavash shanim. She has no fear of the snow for her household, for all of her household is dressed in fine clothing. She's not afraid of snow. Now, the fact that snow is being mentioned here is pretty wild, because as I said in the last class, and I'll repeat, the Eshes Chayil poem was written by King Solomon. It was written over 3,000 years ago in honor of his mother, Bathsheba. King Solomon lived in Israel. In Israel, they're not afraid of snow. They get snow maybe once a year and the whole country shuts down, but it's not a thing. Snow is not like, it's not like in New York or here in St. Louis where we have snow in the winter, and it's something that you have to deal with. So why would King Solomon mention snow if that's not really something that was in his mother's life? So snow in Israel, especially in Jerusalem, where King Solomon and his mother lived, would represent that which is rare and unexpected. He says snow on purpose because he's saying those things that are completely rare and unexpected, that you're not even dreaming are going to happen and suddenly happen. The Eshes Chayil, the Jewish superwoman, she can handle the snow. She can handle those surprise guests that suddenly show up at your dinner table. She can handle the boss at work who suddenly launches a project on her that she had no idea was coming, and he thought he told her about it 2 weeks before. A Jewish superwoman is someone who handles the unexpected really well. Oh, it's snow. Okay, time to do a paradigm shift, time to reframe, but I got this. Okay, that's the Jewish superwoman. She handles the unexpected. She handles the snow. Suddenly there's no power. Okay, let's figure this out. My own daughter had an engagement party happening. She got engaged, and that night we were having a party in our house, and suddenly there was a blackout. No power the whole day. So what did we do? We ran, and we got a generator, and we got 2 generators, I think it was, and we got lamps, and we were running extension cords throughout the house to the generators because we were having all these people come over. So snow means dealing with the unexpected, and that's something the Jewish superwoman knows how to do. Let's move on to the next letter, which is the letter Ayin. The letter Ayin, Oz v'hadar levusha, v'tischak liyom acharon. She is robed in strength and dignity, and she smiles at the future. The Woman of Valor, and this is a very famous verse actually, the Woman of Valor is someone who wears, her clothing is Oz, is strength. But another way to define Oz is not as strength necessarily, but as bravery. Bravery is a really important thing. It's a quality that's not fearless or stupid. Bravery is, I'm afraid, but even though I'm afraid, I still want to surpass my fear because there's something that's more important to me than my fear. Bravery means I'm not jumping into something without thinking. I'm very aware of what I'm doing, and it's really scary. But something that I'm doing is more important to me than the fear that I feel. A person, in order to have bravery, a woman has to have a deep sense of self-worth. Bravery doesn't just come. They have to have a deep sense of self-respect. She has to be someone who knows how to retain and maintain her dignity. It isn't just natural. It's someone who really is a work-done person in terms of knowing who she is, knowing what she can handle, and be able to handle it and be able to keep her self-respect at the same time. So, for example, let's say you're in a social setting, and suddenly the conversation goes south. And it's a bunch of people around, and suddenly they talk about somebody that you know, that they all know, somebody in your social group who's getting divorced. And it's no one's business, and it's gossip. And you are the brave one in the group. It's really scary to end a conversation like that. Everyone's really busy chit-chatting in this and saying their 2 cents, and can you believe it? They've been married for 10 years, and da-da-da, and the kids, and the money, and why, and it becomes a whole to-do, and the brave one is you, and you are the one who says, let's not talk about other people, and changes the conversation. It's really hard to do that. It's scary. It's hard. But when you have enough self-respect, and you know that talking about other people isn't good for anyone, you have the bravery to do something like that. The Eishes Chayil, the Jewish Superwoman, is someone who has this strength, this oath, this sense of bravery to do the right thing, even though it could be really scary to do. She has also beauty. The words are Oz v'Hadar. She is strong and she is beautiful, which means that at the same time that she's brave and she's strong, she is maintaining her dignity. And the way she deals with issues is in a beautiful, dignified way. We all know somebody like that in our lives who the way they approach issues is just majestic. They do them with poise. They do it with a regal attitude, and they come across beautiful, even though they may be doing something that is critical of your behavior or something like that. Okay, that's the Jewish Superwoman. She's majestically strong and brave and beautiful. Go find that in you. We all have it. We're now going to go on to the letter Pei. Piha pascha b'chachma v'soras chesed al lishona. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and a lesson of kindness is on her tongue. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Well, guess what? Lots of women open their mouths because the Gemara tells us, the Talmud tells us, that 9 out of 10 measures of speech were given to women. 10 measures of speech in the world, and 9 out of 10 we got. So women, we've got the gift of gab. And go embrace that. That's how we were created. It's great. We are communicators. We are speaking beings. We have the gift to speak, to express ourselves more than men. And that power can be used for good things, but it could be used for negative things at the same time. The Eishes Chayil, the Jewish Superwoman, her mouth is open with chachma, with wisdom. She uses her power of speech to build. She uses her power of speech to create bonds. She uses her power of speech to encourage, to instill people with pride. She uses it for great reasons, to elevate. She takes speech and she elevates things through her speech. She uses her power of speech to pray. She uses her power of speech to connect. She takes that power and she never uses it to pull things down. She never uses it to hurt. It's always done with wisdom. It's always used as a power, as a tool to build and to cause things to grow. And the last letter that I'd like to share with you is the letter Shin. Sheker hachein, the second to last letter of the poem. Sheker hachein vehevel hayofi, isha yiras Hashem hitas halal. Grace is elusive and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears God, she shall be praised. What are we talking about here? We're saying that chen and yofi, grace and beauty, these are things that are false and worthless. Are they really? I don't think grace and beauty are false and worthless. So when are they false and worthless? They're false and worthless when they're a goal or an end unto themselves. If the goal is beauty, then that has no lasting value. Because at the end of the day, nobody takes their beauty with them. If the goal is to look pretty, well, that's worthless at the end of the day. We all get old. We don't retain our beauty. We end up with wrinkles. We end up with gray hair. We end up with all kinds of things that we can't control. But if they are a means to an end, that's when they are amazing. A great analogy for this would be thinking of 1,000 zeros in a line. If you have 1,000 zeros in a line, what are they worth? 0. But if you put a 1 in front of those 1,000 zeros, suddenly you have a giant number. It's worth a tremendous amount. So grace and beauty have no value in and of themselves. But if you add a 1 in front of them, suddenly they have infinite value. Suddenly they are tools to bring people happier, to bring happiness to people, to make people feel good, they could be tools to bring spirituality into the world, to make a Kiddush Hashem, to increase positive attitude toward Jews, because Jews look good in a way that's graceful, in a way that's beautiful. That's wonderful. That's invaluable. That's true beauty. So all of us have the ability to be all these things. Maybe not everyone at the same time, but all of us could dig deep and find what in me is described in the Eshes Chayil. What in me can be helpful, encouraging, positive to my friends, my family? What in me makes me a Jewish superwoman? Thank you for joining, and have a great night.